So to start our first list, we're just going to create a tag, and it's going to be the unordered list. I can create an ordered list or an unordered list or a definition list. The unordered list is what I'm going to start with, and it's just going to give me a bullet. Ordered list would give me a list actual number, and then I'm going to create the list elements themselves. I'm going to go ahead and put in several list opening and closing tags because I know that I'm going to have at least 3 list items. So that's what these are. These are declaring list items, and this is declaring the type of list that it's going to be put inside. That's going to be created. So you can see I've created the hierarchy with spacing. That's because the list item is a child of the UL, which is its parent. And then you can see I've also created the body tag that's a parent item of the UL tag. So there's a lot of hierarchies. It's important to go ahead and start indenting when you're doing these projects. So keep that in mind. Try to remember the hierarchy of what goes in what order and which one is a child of the parent, of its parent, and what the parent is. That's in itself. So, okay, so list item. I'd like to know what my list item is going to be about, but let's start with these. My list items are going to be God, guitar, and sports. And I'm going to refresh, and you can see that it's created a bulleted list, 1, 2, 3, in the order that I've created. Now, if I wanted to have a header for this list, I would just create a header tag, and mine is going to be H1 with the opening and closing tag, and in between I'm going to say my favorite or top 3 favorite things, and then put a colon at the end. Now let's not do a colon. Let's leave the colon out because this is a title. We don't need to create a colon. So my top 3 favorite things is God, guitar, and sports. So if I wanted to change this to an ordered list and give them a number, and then I hit save, then you can see now I have 1, 2, and 3 instead. So it's very simple to create a simple list. Once I create my list, I can start editing the spacing or the list area, or I can create nested lists as well. So I'm going to create a nested list at the end of the first list item before the closing tag, like this. I'm going to say UL because I'm going to start my next list and create an unordered list with the list item and the closing tag, and I'm going to give myself a couple spots. So let's say Jesus Christ, Son of God. Let's just say I wanted to explain that, so I would say Jesus Christ and God the Father. And I'm going to go ahead and create one more list item. Holy Spirit, breath of God, or something like that. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to refresh, and you can see that now I have a sub menu inside my top 3 favorite things. God, and then Jesus Christ, God the Father, and Holy Spirit, the breath of God. So I've got those different bullets. So I'm going to create one more ordered list here for my guitar, so you can get the idea, and just tab over. But first I want to make sure and give it space, so let's tab over UL. And I can make this an ordered list if I wanted to. Let's do an ordered list. Don't do a 0, do an O. So that's what I just did. My guitar, so let's just call it Big Red. Let's call it Big Red. And then Fender strat. Let's just change that to what the kind is. Gibson 335, Fender Strat, and then Takamine acoustic. So let's just say, so that's maybe those are my three favorite. My top one is the Gibson 335, the second is Fender Strat, and the third is Takamine acoustic. So you get the idea. My top three favorite things, here's the top three, and then here's specific items that I would be talking about. So you can do this to your heart's content. Lists are great because they break up just bodies of text, paragraphs of text, and now you can actually go in and customize the styling. So I've created a standard ULLI list, and I can change the, let's just break this up. Like, I can change the list item to font, weight, bold, and hit save and refresh. Now everything inside that list item is bold. If I want to create a background color, blue, or let's say yellow, I can do that, and I hit save and I hit refresh. So you can see how it's creating a yellow color for all of my list items. So it's starting here and going all the way down, but it's not covering the area surrounding the list item. So if I wanted to just have specific things bolded, I can kind of do that several ways. If I wanted to just have the nested items bolded, so like you have God and you have the inside the nested items, inside this is Jesus Christ, and then you have also nested items for this OL list, I could go in and create a nested list item. So here I'm saying this is the top level list. Now I'm saying it's the second level list. So you can see that now you have certain things bolded that way. So I've just kind of moved to the second list. Now, if I wanted to go to the second ordered list, you can see I do the same thing. I can just do LI, and then inside the LI I do OL. And now it's just the ordered list that's doing that. So there's several ways that I can do it. But if I have multiple lists in my document, I want to make sure and be clear which lists are important and which one. If I want to style separate lists differently, I can give this actual UL a style of ID equals top things, save, and then I'm going to go back to my style and I'm going to say top things, and then let's just say the list items right now are bold. Okay, so I've created this whole list as the UL ID of top things. Now if I wanted to change that and I said I just want to make this have the ID of top things. So now you can see just the ID, just everything within the ID of top things is now bolded in yellow. If I change it to class, now remember ID is just for one CSS, one formatting. If I do class, I can copy it and paste it on multiple items. Now I just hit save and looked for the change to happen, but it didn't because I didn't change the select. When creating the CSS selector, remember specifically the ID requires a pound at the front of the selector, and a class requires a dot. So if I go back and I say UL, you can see that now it's just top things for UL that is specified. So I can go in and specify whatever I would like to be specific to that. If I wanted to change the actual bullet, I can go to W3 schools and find a list of optional list values. So as you can see, I can just go into Google and put in list style type or list type options, and it'll pull up W3 schools, and I can go in and check on the property list style type, which I have here, and see all the different value options I have. If I wanted to do no bullet, I could do none. So I can change that if I'd like to, and so let me show you how to do that. So let's just say inside this, I wanted to change the list style type to none, and that would just show up on the favorite things section. So there's no bullet now; it just disappeared. So you can do lots of different things with lists. I would just suggest you kind of design your list ahead of time so you know what you want it to look like, and then you have options as to how to create that using CSS. So you can see you just put your class items on specific lists. If you want to specify list items as like your favorite ones, and you can put different colors on them. Give this a class of whatever name you want to give it, and just call it best. Say I wanted to just highlight that specific list, and I could list item, and I could say li.best. Start the CSS and say color to change the font color and make it red if I want to. Save, and then refresh, and you can see now Gibson 335 is red. So you can specify specific things about your list by setting up classes or IDs. If you want to, I would just stick with classes for now, because then if you want to copy it and paste it, you're okay, and you can just copy it, paste it, and use specific things on your items like that. So that's the way to get started. So now I'm going to move to tables. So we've created our first list. Now we're going to go and create a table, and I'll see you in the next video.